Moving on to the final topic, we are going to be jumping into the land of Philadelphia real quick. If you're listening on iTunes, don't forget to rate us 5 stars. Also, if you're listening on Blog Talk Radio, a huge shout out to you. Also, we are selling t-shirts. Link is in the description on what to do. Anything else you need to mention, Ricky?
The most important one.
Oh, patreon.com/podcast. And we're talking about this because I mentioned it to Jake, one of our patrons.
Yep.
Just wanted to see if he wanted to come on because we're talking about his team, the 76ers.
Still has not. Well, we did his November one. We still need to do his December one. So we'll have to double dip in January.
We'll have Jake on very soon. Not next week, though, because we got the mock draft coming out.
Can't wait.
Bam, 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 bam. If you guys are watching this.
Big board and mock draft in the same week for MVP.
This is
going to be a big draft week.
This is pretty much Christmas for you guys.
Well, it's even Christmas on top of it because guess what's the next week after that? Next NFL mock draft. Like, it's just draft season overall.
This
it's
is
draft
exciting.
Season.
Our first mock draft of the NBA season. But let's jump into the Philadelphia
The what?
Philadelphia 76ers. I don't know how to talk. Sixers are 3-10 in their last 13. Markelle Fultz is expected to up activity soon, but that is not really going to save them from their current woes. I mean, maybe Markelle Fultz helps them a little bit, but right now you got to be worried about the team currently on the court. Markelle Fultz isn't there. We're going to go to a resident Philadelphia 76er fan first. Dave, what have you been noticing in the last 13 games that have really been, taking the Sixers down kind of back to earth?
Honestly, it's a combination of things. Joel Embiid not being consistently able to play is obviously the biggest factor that hurts them. When he's in games, they're successful. They're massively positive, and he brings an offensive force that they need. When he's not there, you see the reluctance from Ben Simmons to become an offensive asset at all. Like, yes, he can drive to the lane. He was okay. I'm not gonna say happy, but he's okay taking 4 shots a game. Like, you can't have that. I get it. You're like this amazingly silky smooth big man who can pass the ball really well.
More of a facilitator than a scorer.
And a great facilitator, but like, you need to score. Like, if you're the best option out there on your team, you need to actually score. And it doesn't seem to click for him yet. He relies a lot on guys. And again, Rocco has been hot and cold. He's had some struggles in his shooting lately after he came back from that injury. JJ Redick has been mostly good, to say the least. I think there's
mostly good. He was a wet boy.
You gave him a wet boy. I wouldn't have.
It was one game.
Yeah, he had one game. But if you
popped
look
off in that game.
But if you look back at the other games, yeah, it's consistency is it's a young team, and that's the word you don't associate with a young team is consistency. They went on a heater earlier in the year. They were a top team. Now they're like you said, they lost 10 of the last 13. And honestly, I'm not surprised. This is a team still trying to find their rhythm, still trying to figure out what works best for them, because if you take away their number one option, and it's not even another team, it's medically take away your number one option, they cannot compete against top teams in this league. They are still a lottery team at that point. What they need is their lottery pick, Markelle Fultz, come back and provide some of that scoring, because honestly, I think that's exactly, if he comes back and looks like where he was in college, shooting, aggressive, athletic, like, they're going to be fine. They'll be perfectly fine.
But the thing that I want to bring up is the fact that Joel Embiid is out. How is Markelle Fultz going to pick up that offensive slack? Because Joel Embiid does not do the same thing that Markelle Fultz does.
No, but it's scoring. It's the guy out there who actually wants to get it. And I hate using that phrase, but you have a scorer's mentality. The Kobe's, the MJ, like the guy who wants to get the ball in the bucket the most. That's what he brings, and that's something that, yes, they don't have their down low presence to just eat people off the block with, every single time you want to score, I'll just hand the ball to Joel Embiid. Yeah, you don't have that, but it gives them a great option on the outside, someone who can drive through the lane, someone who is aggressive enough to play and always is looking to score. That's what's missing. If they had that out there, I think they're still fine. I think that as long as you get your points right now, it's the fact it's a lack of consistency, and that's because they're clearly floundering without knowing where to go with the ball.
I don't think that Markelle Fultz is like, how we talked last week about IT, and Dave went off on his tangent that, we shouldn't baby IT.
Yeah.
The difference between IT and Markelle Fultz is that if there's anyone we should baby, it should be the rookie and not the veteran. Like, this is one where...
Well, it's a lot of pressure, too, to throw a rookie into the fire and be like, all right, kid, score.
Well, and we talk about when rookies come in...
a rookie right away, Dave.
Don Mitch.
We talk about when rookies come in...
Different situation.
Oh, entirely.
Different situation, different player in general, too. But, like, he was a guy where... And I know that people are going to say, well, it was the shoulder injury. Why? But early on, when he played the, 4 games that he played to start the season... It wasn't like a man, this was the Markelle Fultz. We had the question that, is he going to be the Markelle Fultz that we saw?
That's because he was injured.
Well, and that's what
we
I'm
had
saying.
that question
People
because
are
he
going to
wasn't
say
shooting
the injury.
The right way. He looked funky.
And that's the thing, that shooting the right way was what I was going to get to. If I'm the Sixers, I am sky is falling right now worried. Because the thing is, I look at some of the teams since, I'm going to say December 2nd. Some of the teams. Phoenix you should be able to beat. The Lakers you should be able to beat. I'll say the Pelicans, like that one's a toss-up, but I would say you should beat them. You should be able to beat the Kings. Like, since December 2nd, your only wins are against Detroit, a Minnesota team that, great, you played more basketball than they were able to play because their knees were dead, because it was an overtime game. And I even remember texting you guys like, yeah, Jimmy and them are just dead after this game.
They played 50 minutes.
And I know J.J. Redick, I know that Embiid had a good performance on Christmas Day, but let's be completely honest. In the last, 5 minutes of that game, the Knicks just said, here you go.
Yeah, it was a contest to throw the game away. Both teams were doing it.
Well, and the other thing, too, is Embiid was more fresh that game.
More fresh.
I mean, he played only 23 minutes the game before. He also had 3 days off before that.
But I'm worrying in the sense of, why are we losing to teams that I would think that we should beat? And I know that resting, people are going to say, well, Embiid didn't play in these games. Sure, I'll give you that. That's one of the biggest problems, and I don't think the 76ers are going to be who we want them to be until Embiid is okay, he's an everyday starter. Until that happens and he's out there each and every, you're going to get rest here and then, but not to the minutes restriction that we see right now. Till we get to that point, I don't see the Sixers being a playoff team.
I think the problem here is nothing to do with Joel Embiid's health, but the minutes that he's playing. Because you look at, obviously, you're not going to put him in right away playing 30 minutes. You want to ease him into that. But you look at it, in October playing 27 minutes, kind of the low end. You want to, don't want to push him in all the way into the deep end, but we're going to, dip your toes in. Plays 27 minutes. That's nothing crazy for him. Then you get to November, plays 30.8 minutes per game in November, and then he goes all the way to 35.4, 49 minutes in that 3 overtime game. That's not crazy because you're going to 3 overtimes. You're not going to use Joel Embiid.
How bad do you want to win a regular season game that you lose Joel Embiid for the next 3 games?
3 games and then 23 minutes in that Raptors game because you guys just get completely torched and you're going to bench him for the rest. But the whole thing that I'm worried about is I think there's 2 extremes. You either, you're going to either baby him. I think there's pretty much 2 extremes that I've seen. You're going to baby him, dip his toes in the water, get him used to playing basketball again, or you're going to put him into the superstar role of, hey, you're going to play 35 to 40 minutes a game. And that really wears him out. He's been great in those minutes. It's not like his effectiveness has dropped off. 46% for the field, 35% for 3, 91% from the free throw line, and 25 points. Joel Embiid's ridiculous, but you want him out there consistently. And if you're playing him these extreme minutes, he's not going to be out there consistently. And their best month came when Joel Embiid was consistently out there. You look at the month of November, he missed 2 games. He missed a game against Boston where they lost that game, and then they missed a game against Utah. They win that game 104-97. He only missed 2 games out of that whole stretch, and you look at it, they lost to Cleveland, they lost to Golden State, and they had a 1-point loss to Sacramento. I mean, out of that whole thing is you just got to be able to manage Embiid. And I know you were talking about, I'm not afraid of playing him 30 minutes. I'm not afraid. I think you mentioned at one point, you're like, I'm not afraid of playing him around 33 minutes per game. But I think it's one thing where I think your team's probably better off if he's playing around 30 minutes per game because that's when he's going to be most effective. Like, he's probably able to play 35 minutes a game. He's probably going to stay healthy. We don't exactly know if that's true, but
fingers crossed.
So far so good for him. He's been able to play, a ton of minutes and been, fine, and you're not going to risk it. But I think the whole thing is about finding a happy medium for Joel Embiid, and maybe if you're able to keep him fresh, play him 25 minutes a game, and you're able to get to a huge lead, then you're able to pull him and get him more rest. I think you need to keep Joel Embiid fresh, and that's going to keep you away from making Ben Simmons create and being his own player. It's going to, put less pressure off Markelle Fultz because Joel Embiid is a guy that has been there for a long time. He hasn't played there for a long time. Only, about 60 games in his career, 25 and 31. But it's something where he should be the guy now in Philadelphia. And I think something where you're having him not on the court for 3 straight games, that's going to hurt you. I don't think you need to be worrying in Philadelphia. I think you just need to have better time management if you are Brett Brown and if you are the 76ers kind of organization.
Well, but if I'm a fan, I would be worried because it's like, why aren't we? I would be questioning, like, why aren't we using Embiid more? Why are we resting him? I get the, like, why we're resting him so much.
They're using him 35 minutes a game, and they have to take him back so you can use him in general.
The thing that I look at is this team, and it's just Philadelphia. I know that Hinkie is gone and trust the process is still living, but it's not Hinkie in general. I still have a weird feeling that the Philadelphia 76ers are okay with, like, losing all these games because, we get more draft picks and then we'll just add those players to these guys that we already have. The thing I would worry with the 76ers is when are they've got Embiid, which it's very rare to have a guy who is a crowd favorite, is the leader of your team, and is actually a good player, like the triple threat.
Great player.
A great player. And then you have Ben Simmons, who, yes, does he need a little bit more of a scorer's mentality? Yeah. But he can do other things with the
He's still put up like
let him
16,
grow.
7 and
that's
7
what I'm
or something.
saying. But I'm going off of what Dave was saying with like the scorer's mentality, and you do have Markelle Fultz. I would look at it and I'm just worried, like, when are we going to flip that switch? When are the 76ers flipping the switch and being like, we're a playoff team. We're not going to go through a stretch where we're 3-10 in our last few games because most good playoff teams don't do that. Don't go 3-10. I said most don't do that. And the Cavs, they have the best player in the world who LeBron versus Embiid. Taking LeBron,
best
that's
player
not
in
a
the
hot
world,
take.
a couple all-stars, no big deal. They can go 3-10. It's all right. No,
teams are going to have their struggles, especially a young team. Like I think Dave hit it with consistency, but I don't think they should be worrying. It sounds like you feel like they should be worrying a little bit more.
No, not at all.
Maybe I took it wrong.
My thing
maybe
is
I'm
just
not listening to you.
Consistency is going to kill them no matter what because they're a young team, and Brett Brown used Joel Embiid like a crutch throughout the majority of this season, and improperly so. And you saw it. Like, I don't care how much a regular season game matters to you. He shouldn't have played, 48 minutes in that game. Like that shouldn't be a thing. That's stupid coaching.
You're talking about the Minnesota game?
Well, no, he played 49 in the triple OC
49.
game against
that's what
OKC. And then the night before, he played like
the OT
38 against Minnesota.
Yeah.
So it was the 12th and 15th, so there was a couple days break in there. But still, that's back-to-back OT games.
Back-to-back games, and it's just too many minutes. And look, I'm with you. I think Embiid should be a 30-minute guy. Like I don't see him. He's not productive. It's not like you said. His productivity doesn't drop off, but his time in the following games does. So you get overall minutes by cutting back down to 30, 28-minute range. Perfect. I'm fine with that. But Brett Brown needs to learn to use the other guys on his team because if he doesn't, they're not going to have an option when Embiid goes off the court. And you look at their plus minus is hilariously it just drops right off the face of the earth when Embiid's not out there because they don't have a number one option. And look, I like Brett Brown. He came from a great system, great coaching tree, but they need to figure out who their number two on offense is. Like JJ Redick averaging 17 points a game is not something that anyone expected. Well, I sort of called it a little bit before the year, but you were even giving me shit about it. Being the second best scoring option on the team. It's like he shouldn't be the guy who's there to carry you in offense. Well, you need to go out there and
I feel you're saying scoring option.
Points per game.
I feel offensive option still second is Ben Simmons. Because offensively, he does so much for you.
His PER is high because he has the ball in his hands all the time. Or I'm sorry, his usage is high because ball's always in his hands.
But even then, I mean, he still has the same amount of points as JJ Redick, and he's still going to be a guy that's going to be taking players away, opening up JJ, opening up Rocco, opening up Markelle Fultz when he comes back at some point. There's no timetable set for that, but when he comes back, opening up players like that, he does more than just score, and I feel like he's still your second option offensively.
Oh yeah, I get that. It's just comes down to like how that offense flows without Joel Embiid versus when he's in there is night and day, and that's the mystery they need to solve. If they can figure out how to run their offense successfully with Rashawn Holmes in there, or God forbid, I hate Amir Johnson, but like even picking up Booker hasn't been bad for them. It's just they don't have that solved. Well, it's just they don't have it solved yet, and I'm hoping Fultz coming back, even putting up like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever he gets to, as you build him back in, like I'm hoping that will solve this problem because they're at a loss for what to do without Embiid on the court sometimes.
Double-sided question I want to throw out to both of you. It's because you mentioned Brett Brown.
Yeah.
First side of the question is, just for the point of argument, I'll say that, or to avoid argument, when the 76ers flip the script, and when I say that, I mean like they flip it to where we're a playoff team and we're successful.
I think they're a playoff team right now.
No. But I'm saying like when it's like every single year down the line, when it's like playoff team,
I think that starts this year.
and they've proved it.
Okay.
Do you think Brett Brown is the coach for that? And B, if they don't make the playoffs this year, would you be on the train of, yeah, let's get rid of Brett Brown, let's get a different coach in here that can take our team to the next level?
I think Brett Brown is the coach, and I feel like, no, they do not fire him after this year, even if they don't make the playoffs.
Because I'm on the other side. I do not think that for this team, I don't think that Brett Brown's going to be the coach when this team is a successful playoff team.
Why?
Because right now, I don't think they're making the playoffs this year.
Okay, but why? Why don't you think they're making the playoffs?
Because
and why do you think that's Brett Brown's fault?
I look at it and I think that this team needs like the thing that like Brett Brown, he's decent in my mind of, yeah, it's a lot to manage everything that's going with all the injuries and the minutes for this team. I just don't think he's the guy to get the most out of the players to make them a consistent, using a word that Dave used, a consistent team and playoff. I think it's, you know what, let's get rid of him. Let's get a different guy in. Not because it's like, oh, you're a shit coach, let's get out of here. It's just, you're not the right one for our future. That's what I feel like. It's going to, the Sixer fans will look back on it when the Sixers are a really good team and say, you know what, we respect Brett Brown for what he did to kind of all start this, but he wasn't the coach to get us over that stone and get us to the playoffs each and every year.
I disagree with that. I think that he's doing a fine job. I think that he's mismanaging Embiid right now. And by mismanaging him, I think he mismanaged him for a month, and that can totally change coming from January, February. I'm terrible with my months. March, April, and then going into June and did I miss one? May and
May's
June.
a month. Respect it.
Yeah, I'm terrible with months. But I feel like Brett Brown had a bad month managing Joel Embiid, and he's still trying to find what his limits are, when he could push him, how far he could push him. Again, you don't want to lose Joel Embiid, but you want to use
you don't.
Joel
I think
Embiid.
the problem is he trusts him at his word, which you can't do as a coach to a player. Like, the guy is always going to want to go.
He's a gamer.
He loves to play. He
Joel
wants to be in
Embiid
there.
is not going to shut up.
He was out there wincing in pain from his back, and he's like, no, I'm not coming out, though.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you have to know what's best for your team in the long run, because, again, couple regular season games in December and November don't matter.
And will that in itself get ownership to say, yeah, because right now you got to think of it where Joel Embiid, I'm gonna use the word fragile only because of the injury and what kind of player that he is. And I know that you had so many ins and outs to that contract that you just signed him to. Right. But you put a big amount of investment into a guy with injury history and a guy who plays, because big men with injury histories, usually they don't get contracts like that. But so with that alone,
like this didn't exist before is the difference.
With
men like Joel Embiid didn't exist.
With those facts, though, I wonder if the mismanaging, and of course everything can change, but if that continues to be a trend, if ownership goes, yeah, I invested a lot of money in this guy, I don't want to kill him, I want to make sure I get my money's worth from this investment.
I don't think Brett Brown's like, let's kill Joel Embiid.
No.
I think Brett Brown would really like to have Joel Embiid on his team.
And
I think he's just trying to figure out
how he just wants to win games. And that's the bottom line as a coach. Your goal is to win games.
Does Brett Brown feel pressured to win games this year now?
I think he does. I think that...
I don't think he does. There's no reason to. He went through some of the worst seasons in NBA history.
Yeah, it'd be like the Browns
and did not get fired.
A coach after 3 years of being the Browns. Like, he just doesn't happen. That's what I'm saying. It's different than the NFL.
The thing is, I think it's different because it's sort of similar to what they're doing with Hugh Jackson right now. Hugh Jackson is going through one of the worst seasons in NFL history. You could probably say
2 seasons in a row.
Yeah, exactly. The two worst seasons in NFL history, and they're saying that they're going to stand by him. I feel like that says a lot about his job security. And I feel if he mismanages Joel Embiid throughout the whole season, then there's probably a conversation.
That's what I'm saying.
There's probably a conversation, but this is one bad season. If it continues, then he deserves to be fired because it's going to lead to Joel Embiid getting injured. But I don't think he's going to do that. I think that it's kind of too hot of a take to be saying Brett Brown's getting fired after this year because he's not making the...
Ricky's just going for Sean the X-Man on the show.
I mean, I wasn't saying that he was for sure
That's my job, Ricky.
I wasn't going to say he was for sure getting fired after this year. I was saying that I don't see him... If I'm looking at my crystal ball...
You said that they're not making the, said they're not making the playoffs, and if they don't make the playoffs, he's getting fired. So you're pretty much saying he's getting fired.
I asked that... Here, just to clarify. I asked that question, but for me, if I answered it, No, I don't think they make the playoffs. Now, them making the playoffs, does that just mean he's gone or he stays? No, if they miss the playoffs, he can stay. It's a lot of the different issues like managing Joel Embiid. My whole thing is looking into my crystal ball, doing what you did during the Raptors thing, closing my eyes and visualizing the 76ers as a playoff threat. I'm talking about years down the line when we're expecting them to be like 3, 4, no, not 3, maybe a little high, 4 or 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. Is Brett Brown the coach I see on the sideline when that time comes?
Yes.
That answer is no, in my mind.
Dave, do you have an answer?
I do, and
Are they making the playoffs this year?
I think there's still a good chance that they're making the playoffs. East is weak. They're just on a bad streak right now. They've got a couple guys coming back. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think they'll make it into the playoffs. I think they're an 8 seed.
I think they're better than the Pacers. I think they're better than the Heat. I think they're better than the Knicks. I think
it's just
all these teams are better than them right now. It's just they're not able to have their team out on the floor.
Right, and that's the biggest problem. I think Brett Brown is one of those coaches that you want to hang on to see what he does. Again, and I don't want to treat him like Pop because he's not Pop, but you come from the tree, you look at the guys who've come out of that tree, and 4 out of 5 are hits. Pretty much, I want to say 4 out of 5 are hits. Like, it just comes down to, I think and I believe in him and what he's doing. I've seen nothing up to this point other than the injury to, or the mismanagement of Embiid during this last month, where I really have any concern about Brett Brown. Up to that point, like, as head coach, you have a lot of jobs. You're spinning a lot of plates. Like, would I like to see TLC and Furkan progress? Yeah, TLC's regressed this year. That sucks. Like, you have, one of your higher draft selections,
22nd,
still a first round pick, and sitting on the bench because he's not. Well, he's actually getting time.
But
sadly.
do you feel like Fultz can also be thrown into that mismanagement as well with the whole shoulder injury? I mean, because they kept playing him.
That's just confusing because I don't know what really like. They say like you had his personal trainer, they changed his shot. Or did he get hurt and then he changed his shot? Did he change his shot that caused that injury? Like, the whole thing is still murky, and no one's ever going to come out and clear the air on it. So I just feel like I'm not going to blame him for a Fultz thing. I
feel like he deserves some blame. I feel like every party involved in that whole Fultz thing deserves blame. I think Fultz deserves blame. I think
you want to blame him? Yeah,
I think his.
I would blame Fultz. I would blame his personal trainer.
I think Fultz's team deserves blame. I think the 76ers deserve blame.
I think the worst part
is
you're right, because after the first game of watching him play, it was like, is this like the worst first overall pick feeling? Because he just looked uncomfortable on the floor. And the second game was like, oh no, he just can't shoot right now. And it was just, you knew something was wrong, but you didn't know what it was. They talked about him having like the yips. They're like, this is just bizarre. And then it comes out that, oh yeah, his shoulder's completely fucked up at this point because he's an idiot. So I mean, like, you knew something was up, but couple games, I don't know. I'm not blaming Brent Brown. I still think he's probably the right coach for this team. I need to see them figure out their offense, the way they play without Joel Embiid, and actually, be good and consistent with it.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get consistency out of JJ Redick. You assume that Ben Simmons is going to get more consistent throughout the year because he's just
he's freaking incredible. Like, I'm not shitting on Ben Simmons is fucking incredible.
But I'm saying he's going to get more consistent scoring as well throughout the year, just because he's going to get more comfortable. He's going to be able to pick apart defenses more. I mean, I know he can't attack with his right hand. Is it left hand or right hand? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's one hand. I forget which.
He's very ball dominant. I think he's a lefty. He's very ball dominant with his left hand
because it's the whole foul shooting thing too. Of like, he shoots with his right and he's got awful. It's like, just shoot to your switch to your dominant hand.
But maybe defenses will be able to figure that out. But I think he's just so dominant, so athletic that doesn't matter. I don't really have any worries about these teams. I mean, this team is so talented, and you look at Joel
Dario anchoring down.
Dario hasn't been great.
No, but he's not. It's Dario. Like, people have different expectations of what he's going to be.
I feel like he should be doing better than what he is right now.
I think 12, 5, and 3 probably is about right.
That's what he's doing right now.
Yeah, so, I'm just guessing.
And the thing I want to clarify when I say worry about the 76ers, I'm only talking about this season. Like, I have no worry about their 5 years down the line.
I mean, if you don't believe in Joel Embiid and you think Fultz is a bust, then maybe you should be worried about down the line because they only have one legit player.
I don't think Joel Embiid is going to be a bust. Markelle Fultz, we'll see what he does. I don't think it's going to be a bust overall. I think this season, though, I'd be worried.
I think the player that has higher bust potential is Embiid just because of his injuries. I feel like Fultz will be fine. I think Embiid's going to be fine as well. I don't have any problems with this. I just feel like they need to manage Embiid better. I think they're going to be able to do that. I think that's going to be something that's going to be fixed over the next year. Over the entire course of the year, I think they're going to finish as a 6th seed as well. I think the 76ers have a ton of talent. And I don't think, you look at the teams in the Eastern Conference. Pacers have Oladipo, they have Sabonis, they have decent talent on that team.
Miles Turner
as well, thank you. 76ers are a more talented team. You look at the Miami Heat. Miami Heat have a lot of veterans. They have a great coach in Spoelstra, but I feel offensively, athletically, 76ers have more talent. You look at the what's the other team? Not the Bucks.
Knicks.
I think they're more talented than the Knicks as well.
Watch out, Bulls are right behind them.
Yeah, they're way more talented than the Bulls. But that's going to wrap up the podcast. Let us know if you are worried about the Philadelphia 76ers in the comments below. Also, don't forget to check out patreon.com/MostValuablePodcast. Next week, we have big boards coming out on the Primetime Podcast. That's coming out on Tuesday, Wednesday,
Wednesday, Thursday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then we
Wednesday. I forgot New Year's Day. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then I think tentatively Friday, Saturday, Sunday is mock draft.
Record on Friday.
Yeah, so around then will be mock draft and big board time. So definitely check out. And if you don't want to miss it, just subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 10K. We're closing in.
Yeah.
You can hit that little bell and then you never miss a video.
You can hit the notification button. So there you go. And t-shirts are in the description down below if you're listening on Blog Talk Radio as well. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And also on New Year's Day, I think this might be coming out New Year's Day as well. Go check out mostvaluablepodcast.com. It's a new website.
It's live.
Look at that on Squarespace. So that's fun. So you definitely go check that out as well. But for Dave Oster, Ricky Widmer, we'll see you next week with a mock draft.